Gave my parents a luxurious 1-week trip to Tokyo, then discovered they were there to attend my fiancé's secret wedding. You were never meant to find out, my father said coldly. Then why invite me? I asked. My mom cried. Because we chose her. I texted the bride. He's all yours. Check his messages. It was a Tuesday when I bought the tickets. I remember because it had rained hard that morning, and I'd nearly slipped on the curb walking into my office building. I was soaked, clutching a soggy cardboard tray of coffees for my team, swearing under my breath about Seattle weather and the terrible grip on my boots. Typical Tuesday. By lunch, I had decided on it. A full week in Tokyo, 5-star hotel, private guided tours, first-class flights. The works. My parents had always dreamed of visiting Japan, ever since my dad started collecting Japanese whiskey and watching samurai films when I was a kid. But life got in the way. Finals. Raising me. Time. You know how it is. So I thought, why not now? It wasn't just a gift. It was a thank you. For everything they'd done. For always being there. For being the kind of parents who actually gave a damn. Are you serious? My mom had said when I handed them the envelope. She looked like she might faint. My dad blinked at the flight confirmation printouts like they were written in code. You deserve this, I told them. No excuses. Go enjoy yourselves. They hugged me, both of them at once. My dad even teared up, which he never does. Not even at my college graduation. If you'd asked me then, I'd have told you that was one of the happiest moments of my adult life. It felt good to give back. And it felt like we were all in a good place. I should have known better. At the time, I was engaged to a man named Owen. We'd been together for 5 years, lived together for 3. I met him at a mutual friend's barbecue. He spilled beer on my shirt, apologized 100 times, then made me laugh with a dumb joke about grilled corn. That was it. I was hooked. He wasn't flashy, but he had this calm presence about him. Grounded. Funny when it mattered. Quiet when it didn't. He worked in real estate. Nothing fancy. Mostly flipping older homes, helping couples find starter places. We built a life slowly, piece by piece. I wasn't the kind of woman who daydreamed about weddings growing up, but when he proposed, I felt something shift. Like, maybe this was it. Maybe I'd finally found someone I could build forever with. My parents were polite about it. That's the best word for it. No real enthusiasm. My mom asked if I was sure twice. My dad didn't say much at all. I thought maybe it was just nerves, or maybe they weren't ready to let me go. Typical parent stuff. So I didn't press. Anyway, they left for Tokyo on a Friday. I took them to the airport myself. My mom was practically vibrating with excitement in the passenger seat, pointing out the cherry blossom pillows she'd packed, already imagining her Instagram captions. You better text me pictures, I said as I hugged her goodbye. Oh, we will, she said laughing. Don't forget to water my plants. My dad gave me one of those stiff dad hugs. One arm, short squeeze, pat on the back. We'll bring you something, he said. And that was it. Off they went. The first couple of days, I got a few texts from them. Pictures of their hotel room, a blurry video of some street performers in Shibuya, a photo of my mom in front of a shrine with a goofy filter on her face. Then silence. 3 days passed, then 4. I figured they were just busy. Or had bad Wi-Fi. Maybe they were finally relaxing. It wasn't until Jonah, my coworker, texted me that things started to feel off. Dana, why are your parents tagged in a wedding post from Tokyo? With a groom that looks exactly like Owen. I blinked at my phone for a solid 30 seconds. I texted back, what? Jonah sent me a screenshot. It was an Instagram post from someone named Simone, account private. But her bio had a location tag, Tokyo, and a string of emojis, ring confetti ball wedding. And the post? The preview showed a man standing under an arch of white and pink flowers. He was wearing a tux. And yeah, he looked exactly like Owen. Same jawline. Same dark hair. Same slightly crooked smile. I laughed. Out loud. It was nervous awkward. No way. This had to be a coincidence. A cruel cosmic joke. Except the longer I stared, the less funny it felt. My hands started shaking. I tried calling my mom. Straight to voicemail. I called again. Same thing. Then my dad. No answer. Then Owen. He didn't pick up either. My stomach dropped. I texted my dad, saw something strange. Can you call me? 5 minutes later, he did. Dana, he said, his voice oddly calm. What's going on? I asked. Where are you? Another pause. Too long. You weren't supposed to find out. My heart thudded. Find out what? Then I heard my mom's voice in the background. She was crying. Because we chose her, she said, voice cracking. Excuse me. We didn't know how to tell you, she sobbed. We thought. You thought what? That it was okay to fly across the world to attend my fiancé's secret wedding. Silence. Say something, I whispered. But no one did. I hung up. My head was spinning. I felt like I was underwater, like everything around me had gone quiet and muffled and cold. I sat on the floor of my kitchen for a long time, maybe hours. I couldn't move, couldn't cry, couldn't think. Eventually, I opened Owen's messages. There they were. Texts from the past few days. Miss you already. Can't wait to marry you soon. We should do a Tokyo honeymoon when this is over. I took screenshots. All of them. Then I found Simone's contact. She and I had never met, but I'd heard the name before. Back when Owen and I started dating, she was just a friend. Later, I found out they had history. It was over, he said. She was never serious. Right. I texted her, he's all yours. Check his messages. Attached the screenshots. Didn't wait for a reply. My phone buzzed an hour later. A single emoji bomb, and then the internet exploded. Simone made her Instagram public. Posted everything. Photos of the wedding. Caption. Turns out I wasn't the only one. She posted my screenshots too. With timestamps. Owen tried calling me 27 times. He emailed. Showed up at my building. I never opened the door. My parents came back like nothing had happened. Like they hadn't watched my life implode from across the ocean. We need to talk, my dad said, standing stiff in my kitchen like a stranger. I looked him dead in the eye. You picked her over me. He flinched. Just slightly. But it was enough. It wasn't like that. Then explain it to me. He hesitated. She makes him happy. And I don't. He didn't answer. My mom cried again. Apologized. Said she just wanted peace. I nodded. Then I blocked them both. I wasn't ready to forgive. I wasn't sure I ever would be. I didn't go to work for 2 weeks after that. I told my manager I had a family emergency, and thankfully she didn't ask too many questions. Jonah brought over food once or twice and sat on the couch with me in silence, pretending to watch crime documentaries while I just stared at the screen. Want me to slash his tires? He asked once, half joking. Only if you use a samurai sword, I said, deadpan. We both laughed, kind of. The sad, weird kind of laugh you do when you're too tired to cry again. Meanwhile, the story kept spreading. Turns out, Simone had a decent following. Fashion influencer, apparently. She had a sharp tongue, a better memory than I ever gave her credit for, and zero tolerance for betrayal. Her followers ate it up. The DMs I got were wild. Some supportive, some nosy, some straight up deranged. One guy offered to marry me as revenge. I didn't even reply. My therapist said I needed to reclaim my space. So I started packing. Everything that had Owen's fingerprint on it had to go. The framed photo of us in Napa? Gone. His coffee mug with the chip on the rim? Trash. The couch we'd picked together? Sold on Craigslist to a nice couple named Andre and Tamara. I donated his clothes. Every shirt, every sock. I didn't even check the pockets. One day, I found the wedding binder I'd started building. Tucked in the back of a drawer. Budget spreadsheets, venue brochures, a Polaroid of us tasting cake. I burned it in my fireplace. And for the first time in weeks, I felt warm. People kept asking if I was going to sue. Apparently, some folks thought I could go after Owen for fraud or emotional damages. I talked to a lawyer once. He was sympathetic but honest. You could try, he said. But this is emotional, not financial. Unless there's a shared asset you want to fight over. There wasn't. I had signed off of everything months ago. My name wasn't on the new house deed. I had paid for more things than I should have, sure, but nothing worth the mess of court. No. I didn't want revenge through the legal system. I wanted to disappear from his life, so completely he'd wake up years from now wondering if he imagined me. It's funny what betrayal does to you. You start questioning everything. Not just the person who hurt you, but yourself. Your choices. Your instincts. Your value. Had I ignored the signs? There had been red flags in hindsight. The way he avoided making wedding plans unless I pushed. How he got weirdly defensive if I mentioned Simone's name. The business trips that suddenly didn't add up. I remember once asking him, jokingly, if he'd ever cheat on me. He laughed. Why would I mess this up? That's what haunted me the most. The sheer confidence in his voice. Like he believed it himself. A few weeks after the fallout, I got a package. No return address. Just my name and a smudge of black ink. Inside was a small wooden box. Japanese craftsmanship. I opened it slowly. Inside, there was a folded note and a delicate pink silk scarf. The note said, "For cherry blossoms you have never seen." I'm sorry. Mom, I stared at the scarf for a long time. It smelled faintly like her perfume. A mix of lavender and something older, harder to place, like cedar. I didn't cry. I thought I might, but I didn't. I folded the scarf, put it back in the box, and slid it under my bed. Maybe I'd deal with it later. Maybe not. I saw Owen once accidentally. About 2 months after everything, I was at a farmer's market with Jonah, buying overpriced apples and pretending to care about artisanal soap. Owen was there, alone, wearing sunglasses like someone who didn't want to be recognized, which made him more recognizable. He saw me before I saw him. I caught the tail end of the look on his face, like someone spotting a ghost. He didn't come over. Neither did I. We just stood there, 10 feet apart, two people with too much history and not enough courage. Jonah leaned in and whispered, "Want me to throw an apple at him?" I smiled. "Nah," I said. "He's not worth the bruising." Later that night, I found an email from Owen in my spam folder. The subject line, "Still think about you." I didn't open it. I deleted it, then emptied the trash. Some memories are like rotting fruit. You let them sit too long, they start to stink up the whole place. Instead, I started fresh. I moved out of the condo. Got a little place on Bainbridge. Tiny backyard. Quiet neighbors. A porch swing. I got a dog. His name's Bingo. He's a mutt, part retriever, part chaos gremlin. He follows me everywhere and snores like a freight train. I love him more than I've ever loved a man. I picked up painting again, something I hadn't done since college. I wasn't great, but I didn't care. I painted ugly flowers and crooked landscapes, and once, a portrait of Bingo that made him look like he had 3 ears. Did it fix everything? No. But it gave me pieces of myself back. Some mornings, I still wake up confused. I still reach for a shape in bed that isn't there. I still hear my parents' voices in my head and feel a stab of something close to grief. But I'm getting there. Slowly. Messily. Truthfully. And maybe someday, I'll understand why it all happened the way it did. But not yet. I went almost 5 months without seeing or speaking to my parents. At first, it was easy. I was angry. I felt betrayed in a way I didn't have words for. There's the betrayal of a lover, and then there's the betrayal of your blood. Of people who are supposed to stand by you when the rest of the world falls apart. But then came the holidays. Thanksgiving crept up like a shadow. I didn't make plans. Didn't accept invitations. Jonah offered to cook something passable and insisted Bingo could have his own plate. I appreciated it, but I passed. I needed the silence. The nothingness. The space to feel whatever came. It was weird. I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I just sat in it. The quiet. I cooked a small dinner, mostly out of habit. Roasted vegetables, mashed potatoes, a rotisserie chicken from the corner store because I didn't want to wrestle a full bird for one person. I set the table. 1 plate. 1 wine glass. I poured a drink and toasted to no one. Bingo barked at the oven and then passed out under the table. And I thought to myself, this is what it feels like to start over. Alone. Not tragic, not broken. Just real. That night, I checked my old email account. The one I hadn't used in a while. The one linked to my old wedding planning sites, the Pinterest boards I never had the heart to delete. There was a message from my mom. Sent weeks earlier. Unread. Subject: just please read this. I opened it before I could talk myself out of it. It wasn't long. Dana, I can't justify what we did. I can't make you understand. But I miss you every day. I think about your smile when you were little, the way you used to make us laugh at dinner. I still have the necklace you made me in 4th grade. I wore it in Tokyo. No one knew what it was, but I did. I'm sorry. Mom, it didn't make things better. But it cracked something. I stared at the message until the screen blurred. And still, I didn't respond. I wasn't ready. Christmas came next. Jonah went back to New Jersey. Most of my other friends were with family. I took Bingo to the dog beach in Tacoma, let him run wild. We wore matching sweaters. A stranger took a photo of us and said, "That dog looks like he owns a boat." It made me laugh harder than I had in weeks. That night, I opened a box I hadn't touched since the move. Inside was a bunch of wedding stuff I thought I'd thrown out. One of those memory boxes. Ribbons, fabric swatches, handwritten notes. I picked up a card Owen had given me on our 3rd anniversary. It said, "Whatever happens, we're in this together." I laughed. Not the good kind. The bitter kind. The kind that tastes like regret. I tossed the card into the fireplace. Watched it curl and darken. New Year's came. I didn't make resolutions. But I did start a list. Not of goals, not of to-dos. Just a list of things I wanted to feel again. Peace. Curiosity. Playfulness. Desire. Not for someone else, but for my own damn life. Trust. Trust. That was the hardest one. I'd started seeing someone new. Not seriously. His name was Eli. We met at a bookstore, cliché I know. He asked me what I thought of a novel I was holding, and I said, "It's great if you like being emotionally wrecked for 3 days." He bought it anyway. We got coffee, talked about books, music, and the weirdness of dating after 35. He was gentle in a way that made me nervous. Always asked before touching my hand. Never pried. "You don't talk much about your past," he said one night, sipping red wine in my tiny kitchen. "Not much to tell," I lied. He didn't push. That scared me more than anything. He wasn't trying to fix me. Just exist next to me. One night we kissed. Slowly. Quietly. And I cried. He didn't ask why. Just held me. I didn't know what to do with that. Sometime around February, my dad showed up at my house, unannounced. In the rain. I saw him through the window. Gray coat, umbrella, face older than I remembered. Bingo barked like he'd seen a ghost. Maybe he had. I didn't open the door. He didn't knock. He just stood there for a few minutes. Then set something down on the porch. A plastic grocery bag. Inside was a bottle of the Japanese whiskey he used to talk about. The expensive one. The one he always said he'd open on a special day. And a note. No excuses. Just regret. I left it on the porch for a week. Then I brought it inside. Didn't drink it. Didn't throw it away, either. Somewhere in March, Simone messaged me. She'd been quiet since the fallout. Her account went private again. No more wedding posts. No more bean shells. Just silence. Her message was short. "I think I hated you for a while. Not anymore. We both got played. Hope you're okay." I didn't know how to respond. So I didn't. But I saved the message. I started jogging again. Not for fitness, just to feel movement. To remember my body was still mine. I jogged through fog, through drizzle, through one absurd hailstorm that left me soaked and laughing on the sidewalk like a lunatic. There was something cleansing about it. Like I was running out the last pieces of who I used to be. My therapist said that was progress. I didn't believe her. But I kept running. One morning in April, I woke up to a robin singing outside my window. Simple. Beautiful. Annoying. And it hit me, spring had arrived. Just like that. The trees were starting to bloom again. Cherry blossoms, even. The same ones my mom had gone to see. The ones I never got to. I didn't cry. I just stared out the window, hand on Bingo's head, coffee in my lap, and thought, maybe I'll go someday. Maybe I'll see them for myself. Not with him. Not with them. Just me. And maybe that would be enough. It was around late April when I started having the same dream over and over. I was back at the Tokyo airport, not as a visitor, but as if I'd been there the whole time. In the dream, I watched my parents walk by, hand in hand, dressed for a wedding. My father looked stern, focused. My mother, radiant in a soft blue shawl I recognized from real life, was crying, but smiling. They passed me without noticing. I called out, but no sound came. I chased them through the terminal, past gates and kiosks, but my legs felt heavy, like I was dragging an anchor. Then I'd wake up, sweating, staring at the ceiling fans spinning in lazy circles above me. I told my therapist. She nodded and said, "Your mind's trying to reconcile a betrayal it can't make peace with." That felt too clean for what I was feeling. There wasn't just betrayal. There was embarrassment, grief, loneliness, anger, and this weird sense of shame I couldn't shake, like I should have seen it all coming. Because how do you not know the people you love are capable of that? Sometimes I wondered what would have happened if I never found out. If Jonah hadn't sent that screenshot. If I hadn't opened Instagram. Would I still be planning a wedding right now? Would Owen have come home with a suitcase full of lies, slipped back into our bed, and kissed me like nothing happened? That question haunted me more than any dream. One night, in early May, I went to a party. Jonah dragged me. He said it was a casual backyard hang with his girlfriend's friends. Nothing fancy. Just burgers, drinks, music, people. "Come be human again," he said. So I went. Wore jeans. Wore a smile that wasn't entirely fake. It was strange. Everyone there was in their 30s or 40s. All talking about taxes, mortgages, vacation plans. Normal people. No drama, no scene dolls. One woman was talking about how she met her husband on a Reddit thread about gardening. "Can you believe it?" she said. "All I wanted was advice on tomato soil, and now I'm married with a kid who eats dirt." Everyone laughed, including me. I stood by the grill for a while, watching smoke curl up into the night sky, sipping on a hard cider and letting the warmth of being around strangers settle into my bones. That's when I saw him. Not Owen. Not my dad. But someone who looked like he could have been either. He was talking to a group of people near the patio lights. Broad shoulders. Confident laugh. That kind of casual charisma that reminded me so much of Owen. My stomach clenched before my brain could step in. But it wasn't him. Just a stranger. Harmless. Still, it reminded me how deep the wound went. How even now, the ghost of what happened lived in my muscles, in the way I tensed at certain voices, flinched at certain smells. I didn't stay long. Told Jonah I had an early morning. He didn't push. Driving home, I passed a sushi place Owen and I used to go to. I hadn't been back since everything. Without thinking, I pulled into the lot. I sat there, engine idling, staring at the glowing sign, and for some reason I started laughing. Just this full, unhinged laugh. Because suddenly I remembered this dumb fight we'd had there. Over edamame. He said they were too salty. I said that was the point. He sulked through dinner. We didn't talk the whole drive home. And I had stayed with that man. For 5 years. I turned the engine off. Went inside. Ordered the edamame. Ate it all. Smiled to myself the whole time. When I got home that night, I opened a blank Word doc. Typed the title, What I Know Now. And I started writing. Not a memoir. Not a blog. Just thoughts. Memories. Fragments. Wounds I hadn't touched in months. I wrote about the wedding I never had. The ring I gave back. The silence between me and my parents that still stretched like an ocean. I wrote about the scarf my mom sent. About the bottle of whiskey my dad left. About how I still hadn't opened either. I wrote about bingo and the running and the way Eli touched my hand so gently I thought I might cry from it. I wrote until the sun came up. It felt like breathing after holding it in too long. A few days later, I saw Simone again. Not in person. In a video. She'd posted a short clip to her Now Public Again account. Her standing in front of a wall of paper cranes, hands folded. She looked older than I remembered. Sadder. But also calmer. Like a storm had passed through her, but she'd stayed standing. Her caption read, Healing doesn't mean forgetting. It means carrying it differently. I sat with that for a while. And then, for the first time, I commented. Thank you. She replied with a heart emoji. And nothing else. That was enough. It was around that same time I received a letter. Handwritten. The envelope was familiar. The handwriting is even more so. My dad's. I held it for 3 days before I opened it. Inside was a single sheet. Dana, I've never known how to be a father to an adult daughter. You grew up while I was still stuck seeing you as a little girl with skinned knees and too many questions. I made a choice. A horrible one. And I didn't just lose your trust. I lost something I can't name. I'm sorry. I don't expect forgiveness. But I needed you to know I regret it. Every day. That I didn't know what to do with it. Still don't. I folded it back up, put it in the same wooden box with the scarf and the whiskey. Maybe someday, I'll know what to do with all of it. But for now, it sits there. Waiting. Like the rest of the story. Not finished. Just paused. It was late May when the idea for the final piece of closure came to me, not out of bitterness, but out of clarity. I wasn't looking to hurt anyone, not anymore. But I wanted something. Complete. Not cruel. Just honest. Just mine. I'd been sitting in my little studio space, the one I'd converted from a spare bedroom. The light was coming in soft through the blinds. Bingo was asleep under my desk, and I was staring at a blank canvas. There was this tension still sitting in me, not quite anger, not quite sadness. Like a thread I hadn't pulled all the way loose. So I painted. It started with shapes. Abstract. Soft, swirling tones of gold and pink and ash gray. Then, without planning it, I added a red string. A single red thread that weaves through the middle. Unbroken. Tangled in places. But whole. When I was done, I titled it, What Remains. A week later, I posted a photo of it on Instagram. Caption, For everything I've lost. And everything I didn't need to keep. It got a few likes from friends. Jonah commented with a row of flame emojis and the words, You're a damn phoenix. And then a DM popped up. Simone. I don't know if this is weird, but would you ever want to talk? Like, in real life. I didn't answer right away. I let it sit for a few days. But eventually I said yes. We met at a quiet tea place downtown. Neutral ground. When she walked in, we both hesitated. Then kind of laughed, awkwardly. Like, of all the things we thought we'd do this year, sitting across from each other sipping matcha wasn't on the list. She looked good. Healthier. Like she'd done the work. I guess I had too. I didn't come here to talk about him, she said, stirring her drink. Good, I replied. He's not worth the breath. We talked for hours. About work. Life. Families. Trauma. Healing. It wasn't some magical reconciliation. But it felt like finally putting the last puzzle piece in and seeing the full picture for what it really was. By the end of it, she leaned back and smiled at me. Have you ever thought about writing it all down? She asked. Not like a diary, but, a story. You've got a voice. I had. Many times. But hearing her say it planted something deeper. That night, I started drafting. A few weeks later, I submitted an essay to a popular online publication under a pen name. Title: He Married Her in Tokyo While I Waited for Cherry Blossoms. It was raw, unapologetic, true. It didn't name names. Don't be ashamed. It just told the story the way it happened. From my eyes, my heart, my bruises, my growth. The piece blew up. Went viral in 2 days. People from all over reached out. Women, men. Folks who had been left behind, betrayed, forgotten. They wrote things like, "I thought I was crazy until I read this," and "You made me feel less alone." Even a few therapists reposted it. It felt so real. Then came the email. It came from Owen's business account. A single sentence: "Glad you're finally telling your version." I didn't reply. He knew. The world knew. And more importantly, I knew. I hadn't just moved on. I had created something from the ashes. Something better. Something true. Then came the real twist. One afternoon, I got a call from a woman named Kira. She introduced herself as a podcast producer. "I read your piece," she said. "Have you ever thought about turning it into something bigger?" I laughed. "Like what, a Netflix special?" "Not quite. But we're doing a series on stories of personal betrayal, transformation, and quiet revenge. I think people would really connect with you." I met with them. Told my story in a small recording studio, heart pounding the whole time. When it aired, it went viral all over again. And here's the kicker. Turns out Owen's biggest client, huge investor, heard the episode, recognized the story, and quietly pulled out of a deal with him. Not because of me, not because I asked for it, but because sometimes the truth has a way of echoing through places you don't expect. When Jonah told me what had happened, he still had connections in real estate. I just smiled. That was it. No confrontation. No dramatic standoff. Just the slow, satisfying unraveling of someone else's lies. All on their own. And I didn't have to lift a finger. My parents eventually reached out again. My mom, this time, sent a letter handwritten in the margins of an old photo album. The one from when I was a kid. It was filled with sticky pages and crooked smiles and dried-out birthday cards. Inside was a single note. "We thought we were protecting you, but we forgot to trust you. I miss you every day." I didn't respond immediately, but I didn't throw it away either. I went on a trip instead. Not to Tokyo. Not yet. To Italy. Just me and Bingo. I rented a little villa with a view of the sea, ate pasta like it was religion, and let the sun melt away the last pieces of who I had been. I painted. I wrote. I sat in silence and watched the water. And slowly, gently, I forgave, not for them, but for me. That was my revenge. Not a courtroom win. Not a screaming match. Not even public shame. Just peace. Just freedom. Just the kind of life you build when you finally stop begging people to treat you right and start treating yourself like someone worth fighting for.